Hi everybody, how you doing? I've got my magic whomper, bomper, stomper. I know who you are and I can see you. Have you ever played this game? Did you watch Romper Room when you were young? I did. Oh, I see Lois. Hmm. Lois is an amazing artist and pianist. I hope you get to meet her. Oh, there's Sarah. Hi, Sarah. And Igor. Igor from far away. And Joni from not so far away. Joni's my little helper. Oh, there's Margaret. I see Margaret. Oh, I see a lot of people now. There's Dennis. Hi, Dennis. I haven't seen from you for quite a while, but there you are. And Russell. Russell, you've been a very good boy lately. Russell just finished doing book 6 in final copy for the Back to Basics piano method. He's my engraver and he does a fantastic job. Hi, Bonnie. Bonnie's from Hong Kong. And there's Arthur from Brazil. I love Arthur's music. If you don't know Arthur's music, you should learn it soon. I dance to it. It's very, very happy. Arthur Zamboni from Brazil. Hi, everybody. I'm Marlena. Some people call me Marlene. Most people call me Marlena, and that's fine. Either way is good. I thought that you might be very interested to learn a little bit on how the Back to Basics piano method works. Quite a few of you are already using the Back to Basics books, and it seems to be going on very well. But I think you could probably use a few tips. You seem to be eager to do that, and I am too. So let's get started on the basics. What are the basics? Well, for me, in teaching piano, the basics are and always have been love, achievement, freedom, fun. And that means for the student and for the teacher. If the teacher doesn't love what she's doing, forget it. Achievement, if she doesn't feel that she's achieving anything, why bother? Freedom, there needs to be freedom every day in what you do, what you think, what you want. You need that freedom, that special feeling of being free and not being tied to the piano or tied to the piano lessons. We need to feel free in what we're doing and not to have to live up to some unrealistic expectation. And fun. We need to have fun, lots of fun. If it's not fun for me, why bother? If it's not fun for me, it's not fun for the student. And they know if it's not fun for you. When I was writing the Back to Basics piano method books, that was one thing I wanted several things, but the one thing I wanted to incorporate into every piece and every idea were those 4 things: love, achievement, freedom, fun. I hope that I have achieved that. I certainly hope so. And the basics are also, to me, the idea of how do we sit? How do we sit? I see so many videos on YouTube and Facebook, and they're up here like this trying to play, or they're way out here trying to play with their arms stretched out. And I ask myself, do teachers know how to sit? Do they know how to teach a child how to sit? Well, of course, we all know how to sit, but there are a few rules. I'm going to get my handy dandy tape measure. Here's what I do. I measure from my third finger to my elbow. And on me, that is 15.5 inches. Okay, so I take the measuring tape from the edge of the piano keyboard to the edge of my bench. I don't know if you can see my bench, but there's the front edge of my bench right there, 15.5 inches. If I get too far back, it's game over. If I get too far close, it's not good. We are not all Glenn Gould. Glenn Gould was a wonderful person. I knew Glenn Gould. He was my mentor at the Royal Conservatory of Music long ago. I was 15 years old. We're not all Glenn Gould, but Glenn Gould had long, long, long arms, and he sat very low for that reason. He was also very long in the torso. So if we measure from our waist to the armpit, you're going to find out if you're short-waisted or long-waisted. I am short-waisted. Glenn Gould was very long-waisted. Tall, skinny men are usually long-waisted. So are tall, skinny women. I don't have that problem. There I am, short-waisted. So that means that I need to have my bench higher. It needs to be much higher than most people. I have two benches and two pianos. One piano you can't see. It has a concert bench, and I can adjust it. I used to have a $500 one, and when I left Canada to marry my American husband, it got left there and with the piano. So I bought one on Amazon, and it costs $79, and it's just as good. It's not leather, but it's simulated leather, and it does the job. And you can adjust the side just to exactly what you want. This bench for the acoustic piano is padded, but it's a regular bench. You should really have some padding on your bench to avoid things like tailbone problems and sciatica. You don't want that stuff. I've had them both. So sit on something nice. Sitting a student onto a pillow is not a good idea. Get a bench that has the padding already on it, and the most economical thing is probably just to get the concert bench. The economical $79 job from Amazon. It works great. You just twist it up or down. Children cannot sit with their legs dangling. They cannot do that. They're dangly and itchy enough without all of that happening. They need a footrest. I have tried old phone books, encyclopedias, but the footrest works the best. They sell them on Amazon, anywhere. Piano stores, some piano stores have them. There are groups on Facebook that specialize in just that kind of thing. There is one called Music Tools Lady. She has everything you'd ever want, including the note finder that twists up and down for the notes, and the magnetic board for putting all of the notes on for learning sight reading. So those are a few tips of what the basics are. How we sit. How we sit is so important. And how we play is important. How we learn is important. It's all important. I'm going to be talking about a lot of things. One of them will be later on. This is not today, but just an example, a sneak preview into what we're going to be doing. Later on, we're going to talk about sequential learning. Let's say that this is step 1. Okay, this is step 2. Back to step 1. Step 3. people want to know how to memorize. What are the secrets of memorization? And later on, I'm going to teach you what I call sequential learning. Notice that piece started up here. Up here, up here. G major. I've often wondered, what's with this C, this position, starting on C? You know, the ones where your thumbs have to fight for which note it goes on? I learned that when I was just beginning, and I used to wonder that. Why did the two thumbs have to share the middle C? That seemed unfair and rather uncomfortable. This kind of thing. I learned a piece called I Am Glad, I Am Sad. C, D, E, C, B, A. It was a horrid piece. I don't know what book it was in, but I just remember it as that wretched book where I had to do this and keep my fingers. My teacher would tell me to keep my fingers, push them all down like that, and then lift them up, and then do I am glad, I am sad. And I really was quite sad because I could already play. How? How did I already learn that? Age 3.5, by listening to other students playing. She had her piano lessons in a large auditorium, and each student had to wait for their turn. So when it was my turn, I already knew in my mind, in my ears, what that piece was. All I had to do was to go and play it. And I used to say to her, please, can I play that Bach minuet for the recital? And she says, oh no, dear, you're too little for that. You can do that when you're a big girl. So anyway, I didn't like that. As a matter of fact, I remember making big black scribbles all through my wretched book, especially black scribbles all over I am glad, I am sad, because I already knew the music inside my mind. And I used to go home and I'd practice the right hand and I'd practice the left hand. I'd do it separately. And I'd do it over and over and over again. And I would go early to my piano lesson so that I could hear the big kids play, so that I could learn more. Whatever. It's really hard to talk and do at the same time. Talk and play the piano. I could never be one of those singers that play the piano at the same time. It just wouldn't work for me. You wouldn't want to hear my singing anyway. It's not very good. Okay, so anyway, the recital came around, and the teacher made me take my book onto the stage, my wretched book. I don't remember the name of it. And she'd say, all right, Marlene, go out there and play I Am Glad, I Am Sad. And I don't know if I was a spiteful child or just overly musical, but I took the book out, I did my bow, and I proceeded to drop the book and facing the piano so that my back was turned to the audience. And I guess my mother said I showed off my frilly blue lace panties to the audience. And of course, I was only 3.5, so I didn't know there was anything wrong with that. When everybody laughed, I laughed too. I thought that was wonderful that they were enjoying me. So I was supposed to play this. And I thought, well, all of these people are really waiting to hear something good, so I didn't. I wanted so badly to play Bach Minuet, and now was my chance, and so I did. And so on. And they clapped, and I got my little fat leg over the stool and got down and dropped my music book again and showed them my frilly pants and finally went off stage. And my piano teacher looked as though she had no blood left in her face, as though the blood had drained from her body completely. Um, Happily, my parents changed teachers for me. They had no idea that I could play like that, or if they did, um, they wanted more of it. They did not want to hear this. However, lots of parents and lots of students need that, but I don't think they need this middle C position. It's rather limiting. Um, we all feel differently on that, and you don't have to agree with me. You don't have to agree with anything I say. But when I became a Suzuki piano teacher, when I studied all of the levels of Suzuki education, felt such an amazing sense of freedom to find out that they taught students like this. It was great. Look, that was fun. They could do that, and they can do it right away with one hand. That was the fun part. The downside of that was that the piano method for me, this is just for me, not for anybody else. I haven't heard that for anybody else. The pieces went very, very quickly. They got too hard too quickly. At least they did for my students. The other thing was in Japan, the mother is supposed to come to every lesson, and she does. Unfortunately, in North America, that is not the case. Um, the mothers are supposed to come to the lesson, but they don't. And the children get to practice alone. And for ages 3, 4, and 5, that doesn't work too well. So I spent many years thinking, how will I modify this? And because you're supposed to postpone the sight reading in Suzuki learning, I found that my students they revolted when it came time to teach sight reading, note reading. So over the years, I invented my own piano method, and this is sort of the result. I don't know how well you can see my book. My book is the original copy. It's in a binder. Your book will look like this. Uh, Unfortunately, J.W. Pepper does not publish the covers in color, but that's not a big thing. Book 1 is blue, book 2 is pink. I don't think that's a huge thing, but it's just as nice inside, and it's all coil bound and very clear. Anyway, I'm going to use my little copy of my big copy rather and put on the glasses. At the beginning, it says to the teacher, this is the how to teach a rote piece, and this is the rote piece formula. We use C above middle C, the other C below middle C, throughout books 1, 2, and 3. By the way, I originally wrote this, books 1, 2, and 3, for ages 3, 4, and 5 children. It came as a huge surprise that older children like this too. They like to get into the very beginning of things. They don't want to start with more difficult pieces. So that was good. And the other thing was it also worked with adults. And I've had a couple of teachers tell me that they used the Back to Basics books 1, 2, and 3 with special needs children, and it worked just fine. So those were bonus things to learn. Anyway, what we do first of all is the teacher plays the piece. This is called peanut butter. It says peanut butter. You can have the child just watch you at that point. I usually have the child right here, standing, looking at my hand. Then I ask the student to close his or her eyes. So they close the eyes and I play. I tell them to just open up their ears. Next, the child puts his or her hand on top of my hand, and that's to get the feel of it. You notice so far the child has not played at all. He will. And now the teacher plays again, the student claps like that. Or if they don't like clapping, have them tap. If you wish, you can have the child sing the words. Peanut butter, peanut butter, peanut butter, peanut butter. Then you ask the child to play it alone. If he can only go, I think I'll use he because that'll save time. If the child can only go this far, tell them how great that is. They're not all prodigies, very few. I think I've had 3 prodigies in the 50 years that I've taught piano. 3. That's not very many. Most are average children. Average meaning they have an average musical ability. A few are gifted, and very, very, very few are prodigies. Some of them are below average. It works with them too. I think no matter where we're coming from or what kind of musical marbles we've got in our brain, we all need to be exposed to music, especially the piano, because it's special. I think you'll agree with that. Okay, so the student might play up to there, and then you ask him to do it again. And don't say no or anything like that. Just say, let's do that again. So he does. Then you say, I'm going to play it again. You watch me again this time. Tell me in what way is mine different from yours? And gradually, you're inspiring the child to play more by showing him. All right, it says down at the bottom of the page to the teacher how to teach a sight piece. And I'm going to refer to that by having a look at the first sight piece. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it has where the note lives, and it is a C above middle. See, that's their first spot. The idea of back to basics sight reading is auditory. Sound before sight. Why? Well, if you go back to the historical approach, that was what we learned first. That came long before that note was ever written down. The monks invented those little square neumes, and they sang, Dominus vobiscum. And later on, it became a note and they developed the staff. And this was all a long, long time before people actually heard the sound. So in Back to Basics, we hear the sound first because that's what music is. It's a hearing thing, it's a listening thing. And then we play. And it's called identification through sound. This is the identification. What is this sound? Oh, look where it lives. It's right there. That's its spot. It has an address. It's like a map. That's where it lives. That's what it looks like. If a sound could talk, if a sound could tell you what it looks like, that's what it looks like. In our teaching in the 20th and 21st century, we have taken this as the law. We read these and then we identify it down here. I am absolutely appalled. The other day I saw somebody had invented a board to go across the piano so that the student had to learn how to look up here while the teacher was doing this, and the board was across the piano and the student had to play. Why? I never had that. Oh, I'm so grateful and happy and blessed that I never ran into that. That is absolutely appalling. This is what we do. This is what we need to hear right here. This is it. If that's written down as Mozart did, then we can look at it and learn it, but we need to hear it first. So important. Auditory sight reading. That's what sounds nuts, but it is. Hear it first. So this sound lives here. There it is. It has a keyboard going to this. All right. So the student will usually play Peanut Butter or any of these beginning pieces this way. That's okay. They're just getting the hang of where the notes are. Gradually, show them what a wrist staccato is. They don't have to know that word, wrist staccato. We learned it when we learned bye, da, da. We learned that. Everybody can do it. Try it now with your wrist. Bye, da, da. You see what my wrist is doing? It takes them a long time to learn that, and we need to be gentle with our responses. Later on in the videos, I will be teaching you about responses to children. I call it replacement dialogue. How to speak to them after they've done it all wrong, that kind of thing, or if they've done very little right. How to build on that in a positive way. Okay, there's a picture to color. Next one is also wrist staccato. There's a lot of wrist staccato at the beginning. This is called butterfly, butterfly, butterfly. Okie doke. So you would teach it in the same way as we talked about in the beginning. Hopping. I usually say this is Benny Bullfrog. He's hopping off the lily pad. You can give him any name you like, but somehow in my teaching years, it became Benny Bullfrog. So there he is. You can color him. I have a nice green one in my other book. I like coloring too. I enjoy it very much. Here we go. Hopping, hopping. little sight piece is here. Where is the sound? Here. Where does it live? Here. What does it look like on this keyboard in your book? Here. Does it need a name? No, it doesn't need a name. Why does it need a name? It could be called washing machine, or yellow flower, or it can be called that too. Oh, so many teachers paste those little sticky things all over the keys. Why? Why do you do that? They need to hear the sound. They need to find the sound. Where is this sound? Well, there's the two black neighbors, if you like. Two black keys that are the neighbors of this one. It doesn't matter if it's C sharp or D sharp. There they are, the two black neighbors. Here's the white neighbor. Okay, so this sound lives right beside the two black neighbors. And look how many of them there are. My goodness, look how many there are. They're all over the place. And as soon as the child discovers that there's a pattern of the two black keys and it lives here, they can find them all. You can tell them it's a C if you want. That's okay. Let's find all of them. And there's one more hiding up here. But you know that. But do we do this with children? Do we get them totally involved with the keyboard before all of the sight reading happens? Do we? You should. If you want an auditory approach, if you want the child to have a good sense of ear training, if you want the child to eventually be able to improvise music, you should think very seriously about having more of an auditory, some people call it oral, A-U-R-L, approach. All right, we've got hopping, 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 hopping.